You do this almost every single day. So does your neighbor. And every time you do it, your car quietly loses a little more of its life. Brakes, tires, transmission, suspension. None of it happens with a bang. It happens in silence, one bad habit at a time, until the day your mechanic looks at your car and asks, "What did you do to this thing?" Stick around, because mistake number 2 is the one almost every driver in America makes without even realizing it, and it could be cracking your suspension right now. Let's get into it. Mistake number 1. Resting your foot on the brake pedal. Here's one almost nobody thinks about. If you drive with your left foot resting on the brake pedal, even with barely any pressure, you are activating your brake lights and slowly grinding down your pads without ever noticing it. This habit is incredibly common with people who learn to drive an automatic and just never got out of the habit of keeping both feet active. The problem is that brake pads are designed for intermittent use, quick presses followed by release. Constant light contact wears the pad material unevenly and can actually cause your rotors to warp from the sustained, low-level heat. On top of that, you're confusing every driver behind you with brake lights that never seem to make sense. If you find yourself doing this, consciously move that foot off the pedal completely when you're not braking. It sounds small, but mechanics see the difference in wear patterns almost immediately. Mistake number 2. Flying over speed bumps too fast, the big one. This is the mistake we promised you at the start of the video, and it might be the most underestimated one on this entire list. Speed bumps exist in parking lots, school zones, and residential streets specifically to force you to slow down, but so many drivers treat them like they're not even there, cruising over them at 15, 20, sometimes 25 miles an hour. Every single time you do that, the full weight of your vehicle slams down through your suspension in a fraction of a second. Your shocks and struts are designed to absorb bumps at low speed, gently. They are not designed to absorb the violent impact of a car crossing a raised bump at speed. Do this repeatedly and you're looking at premature strut failure, cracked sway bar links, bent control arms, and in more serious cases, actual damage to your front bumper or exhaust system if the bump catches the underside of the car. There's also a hidden cost people never think about: your wheel alignment. Every hard hit slightly shifts your suspension geometry, and after enough of these impacts, you'll notice your car pulling slightly to one side, or your tires wearing unevenly on just one edge. The fix here is almost embarrassingly simple. Slow down to 5, maybe 10 miles an hour max when you see a speed bump coming, and cross it at close to a right angle instead of at a diagonal, which reduces the twisting force on your suspension. It costs you 3 extra seconds. Skipping it can cost you a full suspension rebuild that runs well into the hundreds, sometimes over $1,000, depending on your vehicle. And here's the part that really gets people. This kind of damage almost never happens from one big hit. It builds up hit after hit after hit, over months, until one day your car just doesn't feel right anymore and you have no idea why. If you've ever wondered why your car started rattling over bumps that never used to bother it, this right here might be exactly why. Mistake number 3. Turning the steering wheel while parked. This one happens constantly in tight parking spots. You're stopped, maybe trying to squeeze into a tricky space, and you crank the steering wheel all the way while the car isn't moving at all. It's called dry steering, and it puts enormous stress on your power steering system and your tires at the exact same time. When the wheels aren't rolling, there's no rotation to help ease the tire across the pavement, so the rubber has to twist and scrub against the ground under full resistance. That accelerates tread wear on your front tires and can shorten their lifespan noticeably over time. It also forces your power steering pump to work at its absolute maximum output, which on older vehicles with hydraulic steering can lead to premature pump failure or fluid leaks. The better habit is to have the car rolling, even just barely, whenever you're turning the wheel. A little bit of forward or backward motion while steering makes an enormous difference for both your tires and your steering components. Mistake number 4. Constantly running on empty. Some drivers treat their gas tank like a game, seeing exactly how far they can push it before the low fuel light turns on. It feels harmless, but repeatedly running your tank close to empty puts real stress on your fuel system. Your fuel pump actually sits inside the gas tank, submerged in fuel, and that fuel acts as a coolant, keeping the pump from overheating while it runs. When the tank gets low, the pump starts sucking in air along with fuel, running hotter and drier than it's designed to. Do that often enough, and you're looking at a shortened fuel pump lifespan, which on most vehicles is not a cheap part to replace, especially once you add in labor. There's also a real risk of sediment sitting at the bottom of the tank getting pulled into your fuel lines and clogging your fuel filter over time. The simple rule most mechanics recommend is to refuel once you hit around a quarter tank. It's a small habit change that adds years to your fuel pump's life, and it also means you're never one wrong turn away from actually running dry on a highway with no gas station in sight. Mistake number 5. Overfilling the gas tank. On the opposite end, plenty of drivers do the reverse mistake. The pump clicks off, signaling the tank is full, and instead of stopping there, they keep squeezing the trigger to round the number up or squeeze in a few more cents worth of gas. That extra fuel has nowhere to go but into the vapor recovery system, a network of hoses and a charcoal canister designed to capture fuel vapor, not liquid gasoline. Flooding that system with liquid fuel can saturate the charcoal canister and potentially damage it, which often triggers, ironically enough, a check engine light. In some cases, it can even cause fuel to leak out from the filler area. When that pump clicks off, that's your car telling you it's full. Trust it and walk away. Mistake number 6. Skipping tire rotations. Most drivers know they need oil changes. Far fewer remember tire rotations, and it's an easy one to forget because nothing seems to go visibly wrong right away. But your front and rear tires wear differently depending on your vehicle's drivetrain, steering geometry, and even where you live. Front tires typically wear faster because they handle steering and, on front-wheel drive cars, most of the acceleration force too. If you never rotate them, your front tires can wear down to the point of needing replacement while your rear tires still look nearly new, and now you're paying for 2 new tires instead of spreading that wear evenly across all 4. Beyond the wasted money, uneven tire wear can also affect your handling and braking performance, especially in wet conditions. Most manufacturers recommend rotating your tires every 5,000 to 8,000 miles, usually right around the same time as an oil change, which makes it easy to just bundle the two together and never think about it again. Mistake number 7. Driving on underinflated tires. This mistake is sneaky because most modern cars will warn you with a tire pressure light, and yet an enormous number of drivers still ignore it or assume it will fix itself. Underinflated tires flex more than they should as they roll, and that extra flexing generates heat inside the tire, which is one of the leading causes of tire blowouts, especially on highways during hot summer months. Low pressure also increases your rolling resistance, which means your engine works harder and your fuel economy quietly drops, sometimes by several percentage points without you noticing at the pump. On top of that, underinflated tires wear unevenly along the outer edges, shortening their lifespan. Checking your tire pressure takes less than 2 minutes with a $5 gauge, and doing it once a month, ideally when the tires are cold, is one of the single easiest ways to protect both your safety and your wallet. It's also worth remembering that pressure drops roughly 1 pound per square inch for every 10-degree drop in outside temperature, which is exactly why so many tire pressure lights turn on during the first cold snap of the year. Mistake number 8. Riding the clutch. If you drive a manual transmission, this one's for you. Riding the clutch means keeping your foot partially pressed on the clutch pedal instead of fully releasing it once you've shifted gears, often out of habit or because it feels smoother in stop-and-go traffic. The problem is that the clutch is designed to be either fully engaged or fully disengaged, not held in a partial slipping position. Keeping it partially pressed causes the clutch plate to slip against the flywheel continuously, generating friction and heat that wears down the clutch material far faster than normal use would. What should be a clutch that lasts 80 to 100,000 miles can wear out in a fraction of that time if this habit continues. The fix is simply discipline. Fully release the clutch pedal the moment your gear change is complete, and use your foot brake, not the clutch, to control your speed in slow traffic. Mistake number 9. Redlining a cold engine. Cold mornings, you start the car, and within seconds you're already accelerating hard onto the road. Modern engines don't need long idle warm-ups like cars from decades ago. That part is actually a myth, but they absolutely still need a gentle first few minutes of driving. When an engine is cold, the oil is thicker and hasn't fully circulated to every moving part yet, meaning metal components are running with less lubrication than they will once everything reaches operating temperature. Pushing the engine hard, high RPMs, aggressive acceleration, during those first few minutes increases friction and wear on your pistons, bearings, and cylinder walls at exactly the moment they're least protected. The smarter approach is to drive gently for the first 5 minutes or so, keeping RPMs low and easing into normal driving as the engine warms up. It costs you almost nothing in time, and it meaningfully extends your engine's life over the years. Mistake number 10. Overloading the trunk or roof rack. Every vehicle has a maximum payload capacity, and it's one of the most overlooked numbers in the entire owner's manual. When you consistently overload your trunk, cram in far more cargo than recommended, or stack heavy items on a roof rack beyond its rated limit, you're putting sustained extra strain on your suspension, shocks, and even your tires, which now have to support more weight than they were designed for. This accelerates wear on your rear shocks especially, and can throw off your vehicle's handling and braking distance, since heavier cars take longer to stop. Roof-mounted weight is even more significant because it raises your car's center of gravity, which increases rollover risk during hard cornering or emergency maneuvers. Check your owner's manual for your specific payload rating, and if you regularly haul heavy cargo, consider whether your suspension setup or your vehicle choice actually matches what you're asking it to do. And that's 10 mistakes that quietly chip away at your car without you ever noticing, until the repair bill shows up. The good news is that every single one of these is completely fixable with nothing more than a small change in habit. No expensive tools, no dealership visit, just awareness. If this video helped you catch a habit you didn't even realize you had, do us a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow. And if you want more videos like this one breaking down exactly what's happening to your car and how to protect it, make sure you're subscribed to AutoJ World so you never miss one. Now here's a question for you. Which one of these 10 mistakes did you not know about until today? And honestly, be real with yourself, which one are you guilty of right now? Drop it in the comments below, and I'll be picking a few to talk about in a future video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.